The following has been developed by state and provincial educational agencies in association with the Agency for Instructional Technology. Together, programming for today's learner.
Grandpa, you home? Grandpa? The coast is clear. Come on. See, I told you, he's got this whole farm set up and no animals. Who ever heard of a farm with no animals?
This is going to be a great birthday present. Come on, let's see how it looks.
I think it can look great right here.
Oh, no.
It's too big.
It didn't look that big in the store. Grandpa, you all right?
All right. All right, you ask. Boy, I'm delirious. I'm ecstatic. I just had a fantastic brainstorm. Most wonderful idea. Say, where did that big fat cow come from?
Oh, Grandpa, it's supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, I bet that cow is sure a surprise. Well, how would you feel if you were bigger than everything else around you, including this New York Central Railroad?
Some birthday gift. It's a real dud.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with old Bessie herself. She's just out of scale, that's all.
What scale?
Scale is the measurement of how much bigger or smaller your model is compared to real life. This is a scale model of a typical Victorian house, the kind that used to be around in the 1890s. But this house is 1/6 as large as a real one.
Scale models in museums have to be as realistic as possible. So the people who made this exhibit had to find out the exact dimensions of a real Victorian house.
And once they decided to make the house 1/6 as large as a real house, they had to make the scale people 1/6 as large as real people, and the scale furniture 1/6 as large as real furniture. They even made the dog 1/6 as large as a real dog.
Scale is a ratio. The ratio tells us how one thing relates to another. Since everything in this exhibit is 1/6 the size of the real thing, then the ratio for this exhibit is 1:6.
If Nella and Joey had known their grandfather's scale, they could have measured the cow and figured out it wasn't the right size.
Just when you think you ran out of room, why, you find some more.
But won't Grandma mind that you moved her favorite tree?
Oh, not when she sees the surprise I'm making for her anniversary present. I'm going to build a bridge so the train can come right to Seaside Park.
Seaside Park? What's that?
Oh, only the greatest amusement park that you ever saw. And it's the very place where I asked Grandmother to marry me. Oh, I remember that day perfectly. Oh, what fun we had.
I can see it now with a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster.
Oh, and don't forget the most important part. The park bench on Lover's Lane, right near the Ferris wheel. That's where I proposed to Grandma. Oh, but there's so little time to build the bridge and the scale model of Seaside Park. Oh, I must work night and day.
Grandpa will help. You build the bridge and let us make Seaside Park.
Oh, hold on now. That's a big job. But then, young geniuses should not be afraid of challenges.
We can do it, but just so we don't make any more giant cows, you'd better tell us your secret formula.
Oh, so you want to see my scale?
Yeah, right.
All right. Come closer. Observe now, you young geniuses. Here we are. The ratio is 1 centimeter to 100 centimeters.
So that means 1 centimeter in scale represents 100 centimeters in real life.
But wait a minute. In real life, the Ferris wheel and the roller coaster are really big. Grandpa, you wrote down the measurements here in meters.
That's okay, Joey. A meter equals 100 centimeters.
Precisely. So that with my ratio of 1 centimeter to 100 centimeters, that's the same as my ratio from 1 centimeter to 1 meter. So, if you get confused, just remember one thing. Everything in real life is 100 times bigger than everything in this model. Here. You see this fella here? He's me. Only I'm 100 times bigger.
Since a meter is already 100 times bigger than a centimeter, and the Ferris wheel is 15 meters high, then our model Ferris wheel should be 15 centimeters high, right?
That's right. Just follow the ratio and you can't go wrong.
Gotcha. Come on, Nella, let's go.
Freeze! There's something you have to measure right here in this very room before you begin. The table. You have to know how much space you have to work with. 85 centimeters by 85 centimeters.
85 by 85. Gotcha. Let's go.
Wait, there's more. Oh, well. They'll find out for themselves.
This paper is exactly the size of Grandpa's table. Now we know how much room we need to work with.
Wow, what a great roller coaster they had.
Before we start making everything, I just want to get a basic idea of where everything should go.
It says the roller coaster is 20 meters long.
This book here is 20 centimeters, so let's say this is the roller coaster.
Next to that was the merry-go-round.
Okay, the merry-go-round goes here, the shooting gallery goes here, and then the spook house goes here.
And where did we put Grandpa and Grandma?
According to the brochure, the Ferris wheel is about 40 meters away from the spook house. So that means Grandma and Grandpa should be 40 centimeters over, which puts them right... Uh-oh.
Joey, Seaside Park isn't going to fit on Grandpa's table, and that's all the room he's got.
We're doomed.
I feel really bad for Joey and Nella.
Why can't they just switch to a different scale? If they make their model smaller, maybe they could fit everything on that table.
But then the Grandma and Grandpa dolls would be too big. They wouldn't be on the same scale.
Yeah, besides, if you work with a scale that's too small, pretty soon everything's so tiny you can hardly see it.
There ought to be some way they can make that anniversary gift.
There's so much to see at this park. I bet they didn't even go on all the rides the first time.
Right, so who says we have to build the whole park? All we really need to build is Lover's Lane with the bench here, the Ferris wheel here,
The roller coaster here.
and Grandpa proposing to Grandma here.
Let's measure it to make sure it will fit. Fellow genius, we're on the right track.
I think there's something else you should know about scale.
Care for a closer look?
Scale models don't always have to be smaller than the real-life object. In fact, sometimes bigger is better.
This scale model is 5 times larger than a real person's eye, but it lets us see details we wouldn't ordinarily see.
Sometimes you might even want your scale model to be exactly the same size as the thing you're copying. This way you can get to see what the actual object is like.
A model that's the same size as the object it represents has a scale of 1 to 1.
Mike, just because I'm your sister, that doesn't mean you could use my whole room up for drums.
No sweat, little sis. The kids' room's their castle, I always say. Hey, Seaside Park. I haven't been there in years.
It's a surprise for Grandma. We're making the scale model of the exact place where Grandpa proposed to her.
Looks like a decent plan. Wait, it's no good.
Don't tell me it's no good. It's perfect. It's true to scale. What could possibly be wrong now?
What about the sign Seaside Park?
Big deal.
Hey, Joey, he's right. The sign is important. It's in those great old-fashioned letters, and it's right next to the bench where Grandpa proposed.
I'll do it.
You?
Sure, let him do it. He's artistic.
That's right. Leave it to the artiste. Just tell me how big the real sign was.
6 meters long and 1 meter wide.
And what's the scale you're using on this?
1 centimeter to 1 meter.
Got it. Say no more. I'm on my way.
Wait, I'll write it down for you.
Are you crazy letting him in on this?
Look at it this way. Get some off our case for a while.
Just what we need. An artiste.
Here at 3D Design in Mount Vernon, New York, making scale models is a full-time business.
This is Leslie Oberlander, the owner of 3D Design. Leslie, what kind of scale models does your company make?
We build models for architects, interior designers, and developers. Our clients come to us and ask us to work in small scale. Very often, we're the first ones to be able to realize any mistakes in their designs. This will be the first time that there's a three-dimensional viewing in scale of their project. And although you don't often see these problems on paper, when we start to work three-dimensionally, we find a lot of flaws in their design. You can also study shadow and light and form. All of these things it's a lot cheaper to do it here in the shop at a very small scale than it is to do it out in the field at a large scale.
What steps do you go through to build one of these models?
We start out by getting the drawings, which are always to a certain scale, sometimes the same scale that our models are in, and we measure off of these drawings, and then we can cut pieces either on the machines or with knives. We glue pieces, paint them up, and in the end we're putting them on the model and planting cars and trees and people and the finishing touches.
Thanks for having us, Leslie. Now let's check back with some people we know who are learning about scale the hard way.
Are you ready for this?
Let's see it.
Here it is. And the colors are fantastic, man. Something is seriously wrong here.
Mike, are you out of your mind? Why did you make it so big?
You're the one who gave me that bad scale. You said 1 to 1, did you not?
I said 1 centimeter to 1 meter.
That's a scale of 1 to 100 because you're talking about meters and centimeters.
Maybe so, but I heard 1 to 1. You goofed, kid.
Mike, are you serious? How could we possibly work on a scale of 1 to 1? If your sign is that big, what kind of Ferris wheel do you think we're making?
Like I said, you should have written it down if you're using complicated measuring. But I'll bail you out this time. One little sign coming up.
Mike always forgets one thing.
Reality.
Mike should have written the scale down. He never even tried to picture in his mind what the numbers meant, and that's where he got into trouble.
I'm picturing a ratio now, 1 to 6. But which comes first, the scale measurement or the real-life measurement?
Usually, the first number in the ratio is the measure of your model. In this ratio, for every 1 centimeter on the model tree, the real tree has 6 centimeters. So the model tree represents a real one that's 6 times bigger.
But if the numbers went this way,
then the model tree would be 6 times bigger than the real one. That ratio tells us that the model tree is 6 centimeters high for each centimeter of the real tree.
that's why it's so important to know which number stands for the scale and which number stands for the real thing.
You kids did a fantastic job. Fantastic. Grandma will love it.
Can we show it to her tonight, Grandpa?
Yeah, right after dinner, okay?
Not so fast. Not so fast. Look what I have here.
Oh, no! Not another table!
After the wedding, Grandmother and I moved to New York City. You should have seen the town back then with the trolley cars and, of course, my favorite deli.
You're gonna build a model of New York City? Where? There's no space left.
Oh, no. Not my room.
No way.
Can't you just see it?
Solve It was supported in part by the National Science Foundation. This program was produced by Messaker Productions.
under the supervision of the Agency for Instructional Technology, AIT.